Alrighty, so we are back. We have another top 10 to go over. Now, you might be saying to yourself, and I completely understand this, Vilify, I feel like you're uploading this once a week. Well, the problem is that Dokkan keeps shifting the landscape of TURs, like literally like once every 2 weeks. And we've kind of we went on like a stretch over the last like month, right? From some of these Easy A's, like the Super Saiyan 2s coming out, we had Glorio coming out, and then this most recent batch of Easy A TURs coming out. We just have a lot to discuss, right? With Super Easy A's coming around and all these different things. What I felt would be the best way to go about this would be to, rather than combine them or separate them into Easy A's and non-Easy A's, I figured just for the sake of this, let's go ahead and just get like the ultimate sort of list here. And as always, I like to brand these as top 10s because I think that it's just more attractive for you guys to look at, or like it's just more attractive to the viewer to see top 10, right? And I think that the way I'm going to format this is in 3 tiers. Best of the best is going to be the top 3 characters, where I have characters that you could interchange between 1, 2, and 3 at any given moment, and I think that's completely fine. And then I'm going to have what is known as the elite tier, and this is going to be from 4 to 7, so 4, 5, 6, 7-ish, right? Like you could, again, move these characters up, move them down, and then last but not least, we are going to have the great tier, so 8, 9, and 10. One thing to keep in mind, like I said, you guys know how I like to handle these videos. I don't believe that my argument is the end all be all. So if you have any disagreements in the comment section below, please go ahead and respectfully leave them. You know, I'm always down to discuss what you guys think is right, what you guys think is wrong, and all of those fun things. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's tier list. And we are going to be starting things off at Golden Week. And this is going to be going into the great tier. And the first character that I have up is going to be Majin Buu. I'll kind of order them after I put them into the tier, but what we're going to be looking at here is Infat Buu. Now, what does Infat Buu bring to the table that other characters do not? Mainly to me, it is the Ghost Usher as well as the Revive. You guys know how important a Revive is in this game. Just being able to get a second chance at a turn, and then also being able to continue to go, and then getting that Ghost Usher afterwards, after getting the Revive, is extremely valuable, right? This is essentially giving you 2 free turns where you can get out of jail free. The only time where this really becomes a hindrance is where this character, when you have him sort of like in this range where he is already built up defensively and it's super tough for him to take damage, and then he takes a super, he eats it, and then like maybe the boss raises his attack and hits too hard on normals and takes somebody that isn't this character out. So let's just say your team, like what does a modern team have, right, HP wise? Like a little north of 700,000. I think if you're in the whale range, we're talking a little bit more like 800,000, but I think 700,000 is a fair number, right? And let's just say the super for this guy takes like 595,000, right? And then it's only going to leave you with about 105,000 HP. And then let's just say these normals are hitting for like 25,000. You take a few of those, you take about 5 of them, your game is probably over. So if it's not Buu taking those normals, that's where you could potentially be in trouble. But what makes this guy so good, and the fact that I think he is just barely missing the elite tier to me, is the fact that he just doesn't have the offensive firepower, and then also like he can be ran off leader skill, and I think that's something that a lot of these characters cannot bring to the table. But I also don't think that's a fair evaluation to be like, oh, Glorio, you can't run on the team off leader skill, so he's not number 1. So just want to put that in there for the great tier. Let's go ahead and move on to the next unit on this one, and let's go ahead and look at that now. All right, so next up, the unit I want to discuss is going to be Physical Goten and Trunks. I think you could argue these guys into the elite tier, but for this video, I'm going to be putting them in great just because of the recent power creep that we've seen over the last few weeks. I think that TURs have really taken it up to another level where you could argue that they are some of the best characters in the game. I really like what this character brings offensively to the table. What really kind of holds them back a little bit for me is the character name restriction that they have. You do have to kind of build the team a specific way to really get the most out of them. And a lot of the characters on this list do not have this problem. Some of them, it's like, you know, you think about a team like Glorio's and it's just not an issue because the other characters around them are so good, but that is not the case for this Goten and Trunks. There's not a ton of elite Goten and Trunks options that you could be running on a lot of these main teams, especially considering like the way that Majin Buu saga has been built over the last few months. Just going to be a bit of a tough spot for them, but overall, still a very good unit. If you want to move them into the elite tier, I have 0 issues with that. It's just, again, has been a crazy month in terms of like just power creep for TURs in general. Let's go ahead and move on while we can while the iron is hot, if you will. And the next character that I want to put into this gray tier is going to be Ultimate Gohan. Now, in Ultimate Gohan, again, I kind of like something like this in terms of like the order of it. You could do something like that. I think it's fine. Again, this isn't really that ordered. Just keep that in mind. Within Ultimate Gohan, just a very safe support character who you are going to be able to get away with running in different situations, especially on a team like Buu Saga. I just think what they bring to the table defensively, being able to hold it down in that slot 3 spot, excuse me, on the Buu Saga team and stuff like that, just really works out well. And just offensively and defensively, they have numbers to boot, and it just works out very well when you have a character who can just be like a peace of mind floating unit for support and stuff like that. Something that the you know, physical Super Easy Kid Buu, who's up here, if you guys can see my cursor up here at the top of the screen, he is one of those characters where you don't really have that peace of mind right away. I think it's a little bit of the opposite within Ultimate Gohan, where you really kind of can put him in that great tier. So that's why I'm going to have him here. This is kind of like the 8, the 9, and the 10 of this list. Let's go ahead and move on to the Elite tier. Now, the first character that I want to talk about in the Elite tier is going to be AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, if I can find him on this list. Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, there's a lot to like about this character. Some people put him on like in the number 1 spot. I think that he is right on the border right now. I think there are about 3 characters I like over Super Saiyan 3 Goku right now, and that is not a slight at this character. I just think if I had to put him in a spot on the top 10, I'd probably have him around 4 or 5. But what this guy does, right? It's really just kind of been the one. He is. I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, but his like big trick is like a crazy valuable mechanic that you just cannot look over, right? When you have a turn 1 90% damage reduction on the Buu Saga team, which by the way, super easy to get right now because the Buu Saga team is crazy, probably is a big connection with Daima. Just a sheer coincidence. Maybe they're dropping an insane Super Vegeta over the anniversary. Who knows? But again, we have to kind of focus on what do we have right now, and that is that we have a character with 90% damage reduction who can hold down slot 1 while other characters build up, and then he can kind of resort back to slot 2 or slot 3, where he's going to be getting an attack buff and also getting the damage reduction on Super, rather than just having it right away like this Goku does. Guard, damage reduction. He has it all in terms of that turn 1 performance. This is the most important turn in Dokkan, turn 1. A lot of people, when they do their tier list and stuff and they rate them, turn 1 is very important. However, I just believe that right now we're starting to shift a little bit, and it's just characters are really good. I just prefer 3 characters on this list specifically, maybe even 4 in terms of the elite options that you could put for the best of the best, but I like this character at 4 or 5. Just a very solid overall TUR that could easily slot in on any teams that you have him on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next character that I have in the elite tier, and that is going to be our boy Tech Beerus. Now, Tech Beerus, again, this is not to say he's like 6 on the list or anything like that, but this is a character who I have just outside of the best tier. I think that you could put him up there. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to put him up here. We're going to put 4 characters up here. I'm going to make a quick audible, right? Sometimes you got to do that. But when we look at best of the best, let's go ahead and look at Super Saiyan 3 Goku. This character is going to be going into the elite tier. Go figure, it's another Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, the base form for this guy, very impressive, and the Super Saiyan 3 version, even more impressive, right? Very fun rotation that you're looking here at in the elite tier. Didn't want to put Beerus down there, just kind of looking at it. I just think he does too much. But when you look at this right here, the rotation of these Super Saiyan 3 Gokus, the consistency in the attack. The issue with this one is that I don't really like, and I know this isn't his design, so you can't even call it a skill issue because I don't do it, but I wish that this Goku, the physical one, would have been a little bit better for pre-super than he is, but still, again, a very good option. It is just a bit tough to sort of get him where he needs to be. But when you can transform with him, which is not easy to do, by the way, in all content, at least in my experience, you can. It's hard to really be rewarded with just how good he can be, right? That's where things do get a little bit messy. So that's why I have him up here. I think he's a phenomenal Dokkan Fest TUR, especially for an Easy A that we have. Just going to be missing out on in terms of the best of the best tier, but still very good. Let's move on to the next elite option that we have on this list, and that is going to be our boy Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. Now, you can see we're already up to 7, so there are going to be more than 10 units on this list. I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. But Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, especially when you transform him into Majin Vegeta, just a solid, very consistent offensive and defensive unit. The damage that I've seen from this guy at 100% over on the JP side of things has been very impressive. Easily camping above 20 million attack stats when you're in the Majin Vegeta state, having good defense to boot, being able to get the guard conditions and stuff like that. Now, sometimes the base forms for him and the Super Saiyan 3 Goku can be a bit frustrating. But like it's just because, like, especially when you're transformed, it's just getting those 6 orbs, right? So I guess I'll at least throw his counterpart up there. I think he's also kind of like borderline on the elite tier right here as well. I honestly, you could probably argue great, but I'll put him up here anyway. And then the next character we need to talk about for the elite tier is going to be our boy Tech Buuhan. Now I think Tech Buuhan is very good wherever you want to put him. Doesn't really matter. Again, these aren't really ranked here in the middle, but just a lot of really good characters here on this list, right? Super Saiyan 2 Goku, again, very consistent with the dodging and stuff like that. Can be a bit frustrating when he doesn't get it, but overall, I've had success using this character. Having that high dodge chance is very useful for events like Janemba, for events like Gogeta. Just being able to use him in different spots, I think it is a great choice, and overall, just a very solid unit. And the same thing is going to be said for Buuhan. I'm not willing to put him in the best of the best tier because, again, I just think that the characters in that best of the best tier are just a little bit above the rest of the game right now. And it's kind of crazy to say that, but I think it is true. I have 4 characters who are going to be up here, but as I just kind of want to look here, I just want to make sure that we're not missing anybody, and that is going to be the case for Buuhan. When you start with that domain, you get into Super Buu, you're doing a ton of damage and supporting other characters. You could argue that this guy with the domain and what he is doing for STR Kid Buu, spoiler alert, we'll be talking about him here in a minute, just really does kind of bring him up in value. So if you want to put him up in the best of the best tier, I have 0 problems with that and stuff like that. So Buuhan, very good. Super Saiyan 2 Goku into Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, very good as well. I would say they are elite, definitely better than the great tier. But now we have 3 characters that we need to talk about for the best of the best. So let's go ahead and talk about Beerus first. The consistent slot 1 character you could throw wherever you need them. They have damage reduction, they have the guard, very hard to take down. They have the rage mode where you're able to take away supers and stuff like that. Just a character who's going to hold it down for your movie bosses team. Wherever you're going to need him, he is extremely consistent. To me, it is unbelievable how good this Super EZA is, and easily I think he is either high elite tier or on the best of the best tier, but I am not going to get too carried away. I'm going to put him up in the best of the best tier. If you guys have been using Beerus, you know how defensively consistent that he is, and being able to use him on a team like movie bosses where defensive consistency is very nice, because some of the characters on that team do need to do a couple things, right? You think about a character like AGL Full Power Broly who needs the super first and stuff like that. You look at other characters, like a character like TURS at times when you're running him. Just don't have that issue with Beerus, right? Very similar to what Janemba's bringing to the table. Not the most damage in the world. I would say that that is kind of like his biggest drawback. But again, not his role on the team, so I'm not going to knock him too much for that. But for best of the best, I have Beerus. So let's go ahead and get into the last 3 characters that I want to talk about today for the best of the best, and also mention a few honorable mentions here before I let you get going. Someone I'm going to throw into the great tier, because I haven't mentioned him yet, is going to be Lord Slug. I'll put him like right here. Again, not ranked, so don't worry about that. But best of the best. Let's go ahead and talk about EZA Kid Buu. Now, if you want to put Beerus over Kid Buu, that's fine. Again, I don't rank these tiers. So with Kid Buu, I think that he is phenomenal, right? He needs to build up a little bit first, but when you get him built up and you have that Super Buu domain going, ooh baby, this is a freight train, right? He is just incredible. I cannot believe some of the stuff that I've seen from this Kid Buu in such a short period, right? Having that big bad boss link, always nice. Being able to sort of just build up super fast. It's just like, he's one of those characters very similar to what I think is like Glorio is bringing to the table, right? Where it's like that first super, you're like, okay, like that was pretty good. And then you get to like that second super and you get to that third super and you're like, whoa, like it doesn't take much to get this guy going. And you're seeing 30, you're seeing 40, right? A lot of potential with this guy offensively. And then defensively, he holds it down to boot as well. So, you know, just a very consistent character who is an amazing EZA. He has like that, really good link set for villains, right? You think about a character like Janemba, where we talk about like the quote-unquote perfect villain link set, and you're looking for things like Metamorphosis, you're looking for things like Fear and Faith, right? Big bad bosses, obviously Fierce Battle, just a lot of common villain links, especially like if you look at like the Frieza and the cooler side of things, and like Turles, it's like Thirst for Conquest and other links like that, big bad bosses. Frieza characters like Strongest Clan in Space, like a lot of these links that work really well together. It's like a character like a Turles and a Cooler might only share 4 links together, but guess what? Those 4 links are like a passive skill, right? So you have to keep that in mind, and Kid Buu is also doing that. I think the biggest drawback with a character like Kid Buu is wall standing tall. Sort of a kind of an L link, but again, not the end of the world. That is why I have this character so high. I think he is easily in the best of the best tier. Let's go ahead and talk about the Diamond characters for last. You guys knew they were coming. Just really, really, really solid characters here. And Glorio, we'll quickly talk about Diamond Goku and why I have him up here as high as I do. I think that he, just the ability, how hard he is to hit, right? and how offensively, how quickly he can build up and become like rock solid for you and be consistent and stuff like that. It's not bad at all, right? I think that this character, the issue with him really is he is insanely good, but the problem is he dropped next to Glorio. And really, like, if we're being realistic here, guys, like, this isn't going to be the final product here, but realistically, you can do this, right? And I don't think that's like, you're not like, that's a terrible take, right? Like, I think Glorio is that good. And it's tough, right? Like, you can argue him over some of the LRs in the game, right? I'm stuck in my ways a bit, so I'm kind of like a Beast homer, and I'm like, nobody's better than Beast. But Glorio it's insane, right? Especially if you're running 2 of these guys and you can get them building up super quick. You're doing those 4, you're doing those 5, doing those 6 super turns. Just extremely, extremely impressive. And the offense to boot with the defense that he has, he's just straight up like the best character in the game. And it's really crazy, right? Now, mainly Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or Super Saiyan 3 Goku, excuse me, and Kid Buu were the main reason for this edition. But let me know down below what you guys think. Again, if you want me to sort of loosely rank these, I think it would be something like this, right? Like, I don't know, something like that. And then, yeah, I think that that's like pretty good. If you want to do something like this, I think you could do that. Or if you want to do this, you can do that. I think I like that, just like this. So again, let me know down below what you guys think. If this list sucks, let me know in the comment section below. I will run it by a second opinion just to make sure that I don't sound like a doofus out here. But again, I do think that that looks pretty good. In my opinion, using these characters, that's probably where I'd have them. So again, rankings on the tiers are pretty loose, so just mainly view this as where I have them on the tier rather than the 1 to 10 ranking. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like if you did, subscribe if you were new, and I'll see you all in the next one.